Hello? Oh no. Yeah, it's there. It's working. Hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ice Cream Uploads here on Friday, the 17th of September. This year has gone so fast. We are now midway through September. It is only 99 days till Christmas, I believe. So yeah, it's been an absolute madness. We spent most of the year inside, and now the year has just gone boop. As soon as you start going outside again, you start having fun, that's it. The year starts to go dead fast. But yeah, 17th of September, can you believe it? But yes, this is The Scoop. This is live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. It's fucking 25 to 10. I think this is genuinely the first time ever we have gone live this early, especially during the week as well. So yeah, I've got a doctor's appointment later on, so basically, we need to get this done, sorted out, then we can leave and everything will be okay. Do my eyes deceive? This ICU before 10, says Tito? Yes, it is. It's before 10 o'clock in the morning. Can you believe it? But yeah, we ain't going to rush the show. We're gonna make sure that we go through every single detailed article that we potentially can find and make sure that we give you the news that you guys deserve. I know the problem is when you go live this early, because I started scraping the news at 8 o'clock this morning, a lot of news articles don't actually go live until after 9 o'clock. So by the time this actually goes out and is available on demand, there will be probably news articles that we potentially would have put into today's show that we haven't been able to put into today's show because obviously it's been so early. So it's kind of in a bit of a lull time. That's why we like to do it and stretch it out. I know this sounds like an excuse. This is definitely the Stretford End book of excuses, but the later you leave it, technically, when it comes to video game news, like America have it good. America have it fucking great. Like they do their podcasts at what would be like 6 o'clock our time, but really it's like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning over their time. But they have all of the news to talk about, whereas we go live this early, we get fuck all. We have to talk about yesterday's news that broke. So that's why when we did the Battlefield one, it felt like we had breaking news for once rather than just reporting on news that came out 12, 14 hours ago from the night before. It's annoying, but you have to deal with it. We've obviously in the UK, we can't do anything about that, especially anymore because we can't leave the country because of Brexit, which is great. Vern says, did somebody wet the bed? No, I was up. To be fair, I actually do get up well before my alarm usually because Samantha gets up for work really early. She starts at 7. So usually I'm up, but obviously I start work and then we have all the worky bits that go forward. We go before we actually go live, and then obviously waiting for me and Graham. He could go before I do. He could be ready before I am because I've got work to do, and then vice versa. Because it's only me, I could just do whatever I need to do, set the stream going, and then we're good to go. But the Vernon's taking a seat on the back of the bus. Tito says, congrats on your award, you absolute shaggers. Thank you very much, mate. It was well deserved for the guys that put so much work in. I'm so happy that they ended up winning, because sometimes you end up putting all of the work in and then someone like Steve Skips will end up winning it compared to some of the other campaigns. I mean, Vern will probably know this, working in the working in marketing. Sometimes your campaign can be the best out there, but it sometimes feel like it's a token gesture to give somebody else the award because it might be like an independent business or something. So yeah, to actually do all of the work for this one and get the rewards is unbelievable. Steel Bonsai, good morning. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is The Scoop. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish, or before 10 a.m. if you're here on a Friday before 10 o'clock, you're watching us now. But this is a video games podcast. It's the UK's #1 video games podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. We go live each and every single weekday, Monday to Friday, with the video game news that we take. We scrape together, we talk about it, we go live so you guys can join us in the conversation. A lot of podcasts nowadays are recorded off air, which is great because you can do it in your own time and you don't have a schedule. You can just do it whenever you want, but it eliminates the side of the conversation that realistically fuels all of the conversation, and that is you guys that are in the chat as well. We love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and that is exactly why we do it live, so that we can have more than two sides of the story. We'd have my side, we'd have Graham's side, and then realistically we'll have all of your sides as well, which we could go through, which is exactly why we like to do it live. So yes, that goes live each every single weekday, live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, and then it gets put into a video on demand or audio podcast later on in the day. Usually around about an hour or two after the show's finished, you'll be able to listen to it at your own leisure. But yeah, that is exactly what the scoop is about. I hope you've had a good week so far, guys. It is Friday. You probably already got that Friday feeling. I know a lot of you are probably still working from home. You can't be fucking arsed today. You'd rather just look out the window, see that it's actually a nice day here in Manchester, and probably in the northwest as well, towards Blackpool way. I know I'm looking at you, Vern. And you think, do you know what? I'm only doing about 3 hours work today, and I'm going to sit there, I'm going to watch Bibby do the scoop. I'm going to watch City beat Leipzig 6-3 on demand on BT Sport or whatever. You'd rather do anything else, but we're working. So I'd rather get into the show so I can give you some actual content and entertain you guys before we end up leaving for the day. So we've got a couple of news articles today. We've got 4. Yes, we have got Free Game Friday. I know you guys are always in for that one. You want to know what free games are coming and where. Oh, by the way, obviously we went through all of the games that were on discount yesterday. I give you a massive list of games that were up to 75% off. Did anyone actually start to stock up their library? Because there was some discounts to be had in there. There was Red Dead Redemption 2, if you didn't already have that one, instead of it being £100, it was like 25 quid. If all the Lego games was like 20 quid instead of 150, like there was some discounts to be had. So if you did pick anything up, let us know. It'd be good to be able to see what you guys are ended up playing at the moment. But yeah, we've got news articles today, so I think we should start by getting involved with some of them. Let me just see if I can try and find this one. Okay, so this is the lead story of today. Where's my button? Where's my button? There's my button. So this is the lead story of today, written on The Gamer by Josh Coulson, and it states that Nintendo 64 games rumoured to be coming to Nintendo Switch Online. Even if Nintendo is yet to confirm the Game Boy games are coming, rumours are that the Nintendo 64 will already have surfaced. As Nintendo seemingly prepares for additional Game Boy games to the Nintendo Switch Online, a fresh rumour suggests that the new library will be followed by the Nintendo 64. Nintendo has never been short of exclusive games that have been able to stand the test of time. It's continued to do so via the Switch, like titles with Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, continuing to sell well years after they have launched. The need to add older libraries, though, Nintendo Switch Online further proves its games have some serious staying power. As for what's next with Nintendo Switch Online, growing library rumours are that the Game Boy and Game Boy Color will be joining the party, continue to gather momentum. However, there is now a fresh rumour doing the rounds that look beyond that. Nate Drake? The Nate Drake recently discussed the potential of Nintendo 64 games coming to the Nintendo Switch Online, and you can check out their comments at the beginning of the podcast below, which is now there. One of the platforms that will be coming to the Nintendo Switch Online in the future is the revolutionary Nintendo 64, Drake says. As they add that when it happens, Nintendo could well introduce a whole new tier of Nintendo Switch Online for those who want access to the Nintendo 64 library. More expensive options to Nintendo 64 will obviously be a step above what's already available, even if Game Boy games are added in the near future. When Nintendo 64 does come to Nintendo Switch Online, it's going to come with a higher price tier, a premium version of Nintendo Switch's online service. Nintendo pulling the trigger and adding Nintendo 64's library to the NSO is a double-edged sword. While the Switch has proved that it can make a classic N64 titles look really good with the success of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which includes Super Mario 64, it goes to show there is a lot of money to be made by re-releasing console games individually. That's why it seems likely that Nintendo add Nintendo 64 games to NSO, it's going to cost those who want to play them a little extra. The reports surrounding the potential addition of the Game Boy library to the NSO highlighted that Nintendo uses codenames after its retro libraries on the Nintendo Switch. There are 4 codenames in total. 2 have been used by the NES and SNES. The third appears to be reserved for Game Boy. That leaves 1 left to go. Perhaps has already been set aside for the arrival of the Nintendo 64 on the Switch. So my biggest take off of this story is this is fucking great. I mean, paying extra for Nintendo Switch Online wouldn't bother me. I think it's like £2.80 or something a month to be able to play online, and then it obviously unlocks all of the NES and SNES stuff and the games that have been put on there. Like, if you grew up playing those games, it's great to go back and play them again, but it kind of caters to a completely different audience as well. People who, like my brother, for instance, he's 15. He never even would have played a Super Nintendo or an NES. His first console would have been the Wii, because he was born in 2006. Yeah, he was born in 2006. So that, I think the Nintendo Wii came out in 2005, maybe. So like, there's a load of games there that probably never even seen what Nintendo 64 looks like. So having games like that on a console like this, which Nintendo are so good at making party games, it's kind of a no-brainer. Even if there was to charge £6 a month, I'm fairly certain people would pay it to be able to play the games that are in the background here, like A Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Paper Mario, Majora's Mask, Mario Kart 64. I think that's Star Fox underneath there. Like, all of these games on your Nintendo Switch to be able to play whenever and wherever is unbelievable. But this also comes to a pass, and it mentions here, Nintendo pulling the trigger can add in Nintendo 64's library to NSO as a double-edged sword. While the Switch has provided it can make classic N64 titles look really good, the success of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which includes Super Mario 64, goes to show that there is a lot of money to be made re-releasing the console's games individually. That is my biggest sticking point. And what Nintendo do very well is actually holding the price of their video games. If you go and try and buy Mario Kart 8 on the Nintendo Switch now, despite it being 4 years old and a port of a game from the Wii U, which I think is about 6 or 7 years old, you cannot find that game for less than £40. Like, they hold their value so well. It's the likes of Legend of Zelda, it was a launch game, you're probably paying a £45 for that still. The fact that you can buy Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch and you are still paying £40 for that game despite it being available on every single platform and is technically the worst version of the game in terms of field of view, graphics, and everything else that comes along with it. It's not the special edition or anything, it's just your bog standard version of Skyrim. Like, they hold their value incredibly well, and it's interesting to see that they are willing to put, I mean, we don't know the games that are going to be put on it for a start. These could be bottom of the barrel games that no one is probably even asking to be able to be played when it comes to Nintendo 64. You've obviously got your things like your GoldenEyes and your WWF WrestleMania 2000. Obviously, the licensing of those kind of games, you probably might not be able to get it. You've got things like ISS 64. Like, you'd love to be able to play them games on your Nintendo Switch as and when you want to be able to. I think it's going to be difficult though. Like, I did see something else. In fact, I might try and dig it out now while I'm waffling, to see if I can try and give you an idea of this. I think it might actually be a lot closer than we think. Here we go. So, I'm not going to read the full article because I don't want to. It doesn't have the picture on it, which is bizarre. But it does on this. I'll just show you this instead. I'll show you this. It's the web page. This is the Eurogamer website, and if I click on this, for some reason the images don't load through. I've got all my cookies enabled and that. Mysterious new Nintendo Switch controller is listed, and that, if you wasn't already aware and you aren't old enough to know, that is a Nintendo 64 controller. Look at the buttons. Look at the buttons there. So you could argue that those buttons there are available on your Joy-Con. Then you have a trigger at the top. You have a left trigger. I mean, there wasn't really triggers. It was more like buttons. But there was a trigger behind this analog stick behind here. The one thing that the Nintendo Switch doesn't have is a lot of these buttons. So they don't have these buttons. They have, obviously the Nintendo Switch has the right bumper, it has the left bumper, it has one trigger at the back here, so that it could be mapped to maybe your left trigger, and then your right one's free. But what do we do with these buttons here? How do you replicate them ones? Well, clearly, if there was to re-release Nintendo 64 games, they would make a Bluetooth version of this controller, or a wired one that's a USB cable that you can plug into your Nintendo Switch dock, and you are able to play the games. But without this controller, I think it's going to be very difficult to be able to play those games because you are missing buttons. You might be able to remap them elsewhere, but it'll be a bit of a dodgy experience, do you not think? But yeah, I mean, this is just adding fuel to the fire, in my opinion. I think it's going to come sooner rather than later. The caliber of games that we're going to be getting, I am genuinely not sure. It could be bottom of the barrel games like it was originally on the NES and SNES online collection. They didn't start with bangers as far as I was aware. But eventually we started to get games that we probably didn't even realize that we wanted. So I've got every faith that if we are going to get Nintendo 64 games, that they are going to be worth playing. But without the likes of that controller that I've just mentioned there, I'm not too sure whether or not it's going to be as well received as you probably would like. The access to them, fantastic. But again, the fact that they can make a mint off of games that were released 8 years ago. If they was to put most of the games that we absolutely adored back then out for £40, I'm fairly certain we're going to end up buying them again. So would they want to take the hit in the pocket, or they are just hoping that you end up subscribing to their online facilities for the foreseeable? Who knows? Who knows? I suppose we'll have to find out, wait and find out when it does eventually hit the shelves. So we've got 3 more news articles for you for today. I'll jump into this one here now. This was debatable whether or not I wanted to put it as a lead story, but I do feel like the Nintendo 64 one, as we're all of a certain age in here, probably holds a little bit more to our hearts. But this one's just as good. This one is just as good. I'm just going to take a quick swig of my brew. 1 second. There we go. This has been written on PC Gamer by Rich Stanton, and it states that Discord funding round values at an eye-popping $15 billion. That's 2 Bethesdas. So Discord is so hot right now. Like many tech startups, it has reached the position where, despite revenues being relatively low, 130 million in 2020, it has amassed such a giant user base, 158 million users a month, that array of suitors have been sniffing around in recent years, and this includes Amazon, Epic, and most recently Microsoft, which offered $12 billion for the chat app. In recent years, Discord has taken steps in shedding the more overtly gamer aspects of its branding in favour of positioning itself as a more general chat app. And its valuation has been on a wild ride. At the start of 2020, it was valued at around $3.5 billion. By the end of 2020, it had doubled to $7 billion. In August this year, CEO Jason Citron said that a company had plans to take that valuation more to $15 billion. Well, it looks like Discord has pulled it off. Discord has just raised $500 million in a new round of financing, as reported by Bloomberg, who has access to the company insider. The deal values Discord at around $15 billion, according to a person familiar with the matter who asked not to be identified discussing private information. This would mean that $500 million bought the 3.33% of the company, and there's an embedded tweet here which we pretty much just read out anyway, so we'll leave that out. To give that valuation to some of the biggest industry context, Microsoft bought Mojang, which is Minecraft, for $2.5 billion, and more recently acquired Bethesda for $7.5 billion. Twitch was acquired by Amazon for $1 billion in 2014 and is now estimated to be worth just under $4 billion. Discord is obviously gigantic, but whoa. The finance round was led by Dragonair, a San Francisco-based investment group that specializes in technology markets. It also involves money from Bailey Gifford & Co., Fidelity Managers and Research Co., and Franklin Templeton, all funded management companies, as well as some existing investors. To be crystal clear, this does not mean that someone's going to buy Discord for $15 billion, or indeed that the company is actually worth $15 billion. It's more like these big investors betting that it might be. Either way, Jason Citron, Discord CEO and founder, is doubtless feeling pretty chipper about lots of things, including turning down that Microsoft offer. Speaking to the Financial Times last month, Citron linked the company's success to a wider online behaviour. There is a big trend of people shifting away from broadcast-wide social media communication services to more small, intimate places where we are a meaningful part of how that's evolving on the internet. The slightly depressing aspect of this for us, though, is not to put too much of a fine point on it, but all it means that Discord is going to get worse. The platform currently offers an amazing feature suite for free, endless plugins and ways to customize your experience, and relatively light touch monetizations of extras. As Aaron Morgan wrote, while exhorting you to enjoy Discord while it's all still good, the exhausting rule of capitalism tells me that Discord isn't going to keep offering the best chat and streaming app around with a firm paywall somewhere down the road. I imagine its current trajectory isn't totally sustainable, so that's probably in some larger plans. What that's going to be, Discord? Are you going to charge £15 to go live? Limit voice chat hours? Sell my voice data to a company that builds convincing human AI that will one day rule the world? And that's the end of the article. I did actually think that there was going to be something else at the bottom of there. But yes, in terms of valuation, $15 billion. I was going to say million then, but it's actually $1 billion. $15 billion Discord is actually worth now. Surprisingly, it didn't actually mention anything about PlayStation being able to use this feature going forward. I don't actually know when that comes in. I want to say it's next year, but it could well be the year after. But as it mentioned also in the article, that they actually turned down the fact that Microsoft tried to buy them for $4 billion, and that turned out to be was it 12 billion? I can't remember. I'll have to read through the article again as I was reading through it, but it was a substantial amount of money anyway, and they've ended up at they're tripling it in some cases. It's towards some of the lower numbers that are in there. But it's interesting. I love Discord. We use it all the time. I mean, if you aren't part of our Discord, I think I've got chat stuff in here. So give me a second. I might be able to just drop the stuff in. But yeah, Discord bump. There we go. So yeah, we use Discord all the time. We love using Discord. When we're not live, myself and Graham and the rest of you guys are using Discord frequently, whether or not that's putting in pictures of the nice food that you've made, or that you've made, or you've gone out and you've bought and you are out fine dining and you want to take pictures and show people exactly what it is that you're eating, or you want to talk about video games, or you want to put your thoughts and impressions in for the scoop for the next episode. Like, we use Discord all the time. And it's a fantastic piece of equipment. Like, the reason why forums are dying left, right, and centre is because why would you have 17 different websites to get all of your information in your community when you can just put them into Discord and you have the tabs on the side? So you've got one app with 17 different communities rather than 17 different communities on 17 different profiles. Like, it just makes so much sense to have that. Chuck in the fact that if we didn't want to go live on Twitch, we can go live on Discord. We can just fire up a stream in there, a little bit more intimate, because we know that we'll end up getting you guys in there, the people who are obviously part of either subscribers ones, or we can just do you guys that just want to have a chat and have a Friday evening where we all play pairs and we all just get into a voice channel or something like that. Like, there's so many different uses for Discord. It just makes sense to have that one app. Like, the people who don't usually evolve with the technology usually end up getting left behind unless they reinvent themselves as something completely different later down the line. But having something like Discord and having your community, I know Vern's got his own community in there. We know we've got the 30 plus community. We know we've got the ICU community. Like, having all of these areas where you can communicate with your communities at a second. Like, if you want to just have a chat, you can just fire up a voice channel. Like, it's unbelievable how clear and clean the audio that comes through that. Every time me and Graham go live like this, when we do the scoop every morning, we are voice chatting in Discord. Like, we fire up our streams, we just crop the images out, we put them on there to be able to bring you a show, rather than it just being, I don't know, a WhatsApp video call or using Skype. Like, Skype's dead. Like, the people who use Skype are usually older, 50-year-old blokes who don't even know what Discord is. They don't even know what WhatsApp is. They're still using iMessenger and stuff like that. Like, Discord is the future when it comes to be able to communicate with either communities or just one-on-one conversations. The audio is second to none. You have a Skype call now and you can hear it. It's like listening to someone on a landline. Who's used a landline in the last 10 years? It's all about using mobile phones. The audio is so much better. So why would you not adapt with this? And the valuation, I think it's quite fair, because the fact that PlayStation will be using this on their platform because they realise that their PlayStation chat is a massive bag of wank, and it sounds like someone is in the bath with the shower running. It's terrible. The audio is terrible. The UI is terrible. Discord eliminates all of that problems in one app. Everything is so much easier. So it doesn't surprise me that it's going to be that is valued at that much, because genuinely does anyone remember Team Chat or TeamSpeak? It used to be something that you used to be able to use when you were playing World of Warcraft or any kind of online MMO on your PC. Whether or not you're playing RuneScape, I don't know. But basically, those apps used to be, it was a push-to-talk thing, and used to have to get into in fact, we used to do this when we used to play Football Manager online. Who remembers Himachi? Like, the Football Manager never used to be online, right? And what you had to do, you had to download Himachi, and then you'd have 5 or 6 of your mates all playing at home. You'd all have your laptops. You'd all log into Himachi. I would give you an IP address. You would all log into that IP address, and then you'd all be able to play Football Manager via LAN online, if that makes any sense. And then you'd use TeamSpeak. You'd be able to push to talk. You say, I'm going to buy, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo, because I'm talking like 2006, 2007 here. We're going to buy Cristiano Ronaldo, whatever. You'd hold the the delete button on your number pad. You'd be able to talk. You'd let go. They won't be able to. You won't be able to wear them. Like, this is old school shit we're talking about. Technology has advanced so far beyond that now. I don't even know if TeamSpeak's still going. Hamachi is still going. It's got to be on its last legs because, I mean, a lot of the apps that you don't need that far anymore anyway. You have something like TeamViewer or whatever, but those are the old school things that have been eclipsed by so many better things going forward. And this is just another case of it. 15 billion for an application that's going to be used on your home console as well as your PC, on your mobile phone, on your tablet. It wouldn't surprise me at some point if it comes to an app on your TV. It's just one of those things that, like, it's inevitable, and I can't wait for it to happen. I'm just one of those people who's in huge favour of it. I love the app. I use it every single day. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth the money, especially if some of the biggest tech companies in the world are fighting for your business. You can absolutely mark that fucker up and see if you can try and get hold of it. Steel Banzer says, can't you do something similar on Fortnite, the whole push to talk option? Yeah, if you're playing on PC, absolutely. I don't think it works on console like that. But yeah, the internal parties and stuff, all PC games, if you've got proximity chat or you've got TeamSpeak, the push to talk stuff is already integrated into it. So it's just a very old school method that, again, you don't need the TeamSpeak element of it now. It's just one of them things that are now redundant. Everyone's using, if you are in a guild on World of Warcraft or ESO, you would have your own community in there. You'd go to the voice channel, you'd jump in it, and you're good to go. You can have a push to talk or just keep it open all the time. Like, everything's inbuilt into it now at a touch of a button, that you don't need these third-party apps. And the fact, again, that the audio is second to none. If you're creating a podcast and the call is whistling because of some kind of static interference because of the app that you're using is so old, it isn't going to last much longer. Like Skype, don't push it anymore. I haven't seen anyone advertise Skype in years. And there is a reason for that. It's because no one wants to use it. We had to use it for when we did Masters of the League, and that was a last case resort because we couldn't have my picture, the in-game audio, and my voice chat all coming through without a delay. So we had to use, I think it was Skype for my video, Discord for the call, because you couldn't have all three running at the same time, it was bizarre. It was the only way we could get around it. We did it. It worked perfectly. But again, that was needs must. There wasn't anything else that we could do about it. But yeah, we'd never use it for the call audio because it was so bad. You don't want to be able to use that. But yeah, I don't think Skype's been advertised in years, and it shows. But anyway, moving swiftly on, we've got two more news articles. These are only small news articles. These are more PSAs than actual news articles. So get your pens and pencils ready, because this stuff you probably will want to jot down. Moving on to the next news article. If you do game on PC or you do have an Xbox, this is 110% the article for you. I've just pressed the scoop camera again. My bad. Don't think I've ever used Skype ever, says Steel Bonsai. Yeah, you ain't missing anything. So this has been written on GameSpot by Eddie. Eddie, I didn't realise he wrote for GameSpot as well. Does it? I'm sure he writes for VGC 24/7. Sorry, VG 24/7. I'm fairly certain he's everywhere. This gentleman. But anyway, get 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $28. In fact, I'll show you in a second, so I can prove to you that it's actually in Great British Pounds as well. But Xbox Game Pass is one of the best subscription services out there for games, and new offers lets you grab an Ultimate membership for a nice discount. Aniba is offering 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership for $28, down from $45. Head to Aniba via Slick Deals and enter the discount code Game Pass Game Pass Ulti to see the lower price in your cart. You'll receive a code that can be used on anywhere on Xbox is supported. There is no word on how long the offer will last though, so if you're interested, you may want to act quickly. Xbox Game Pass is the beefier version of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is the beefier version of Game Pass that lets you see the full library of Game Pass titles, as well as access to Xbox Cloud Gaming, as well as Xbox Live. Subscriptions normally cost $15 for a single month, but new subscribers, however, can get their first month for just $1. In other news, Microsoft just announced 13 more games going to Xbox Game Pass, blah, 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 blah. So if you go to Aniba here, this is currently loading up the website. You can see that already this morning I changed it to pounds to make sure that it is actually worth, so it's not a fake. You can see it's got 4 stars there, 419. This is a well-renowned website for this. So if you are interested in getting 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate, you have got some bangers coming in the next couple of months. This is definitely worth your time to be able to pick up. It is meant to be £45, but at the moment you're getting it for 23. For the next 3 months. So if you do have Xbox Game Pass for PC, or you have an Xbox One, or I don't know, Xbox Series X, you don't have Xbox Game Pass, believe me, it's absolutely worth your time. And if Tito was here, he'd be telling you can get your first month for free if you didn't already activate it. You want the link? Steel Bonsai wants the link. There you go. Iceman says, a Game Pass article? Where's Tito? Exactly. If Tito was there, he'd be telling you how much you can get Xbox Game Pass for if you've not already subscribed before. So yeah, this is probably worth your time if you don't already. I already have get Xbox Game Pass for PC. I don't use it on my Xbox. I do have Xbox Ultimate, so it's just one of them. It's an unbelievable platform for you to be able to dig into games left, right, and centre. It's absolutely worth your time. Tito says, I am here. I'm getting passed out after their social media assault. Mate, what was going on yesterday with that? Because I seen every man and his dog advertising it. Was it like if you advertised it, you got like a free month or something? Because I couldn't escape it. Every time I was going through my timeline, I thought, has Tito hacked someone? Has he been on a rampage? Has he just managed to get into all these accounts and he's just copy and pasting? He's a copy paster and it's everywhere. Like, it was mental how quickly it started to go. But yeah, just it does say that they on that website, Steel Bonsai, that it is an EU code as well. So if you are in the EU, this should be perfectly fine for you to be able to use. So you are good to go. It's not one of them ones that are locked to US. It does say EU at the top of the screen. Ooh. Tito says, NX said Xbox posted a link. When you clicked on it, apparently it tweeted it out. Seems shady to me. That is very shady. That is very shady. That looks like it's scraped all your data, doesn't it? It's like one of them dodgy links that you don't want to click on because it'll end up like doxing you and giving your IP address out. Surely that's illegal if you haven't clicked a box to say that it's okay to share it. Surely. But anyway, we've got one news article, and we always like to finish on something on a Friday, which is called Free Game Friday. I know it's a unique name. It's revolutionary. It's one of them cryptic ones that you don't necessarily know what's going to be happening. But here we are. It's Free Game Friday. Once again, we are entering the Epic Game Stores. Next free title has been announced, and it's The Escapist. Will replace Speed Brawl and Therasis. Next week's Free Game Store has been revealed. Let me see if... I thought there might have been a trailer or something here. Next week's free Epic Game Store has been revealed. Prison sandbox game The Escapist will be free to download from September 23rd to the 30th, and it will replace 2D combat racer Speed Brawl and turn-based strategy game Therasis, which normally costs £15.49 and $11.99 respectively, but are currently free to download until September 23rd, so that's next Friday. I'm not going to read this because they literally just copy and paste this from every article that they end up putting on this, just to try and boost up their words. It's like you're doing an essay and you try and using like Joey on Friends, where you're using a thesaurus to try and figure out new words and trying to change it enough that it doesn't sound the same as somebody else's word. But anyway, that's essentially what they tried to do. They just shoved this bit in there, so we're not going to read it. But you have got 3 new games there for you. The Escapist, which I hear is a very, 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 very good game. There has been a lot of them. So there's like The Escapist Walking Dead, The Escapist... They've done loads of licensed ones, and their name is... I think they've done a Prison Break one as well, so they have done licensed versions of The Escapist for you to be able to enjoy. This is just the original one. It's free. You can pick it up next week. Don't forget that you have got new games that have dropped today, Speed Brawl and Therasis. Go ahead, get them. If you haven't got Epic Game Store, you don't plan on playing any games on it, just make an account, go in, take the games, and you never know later down the line when you actually you might get a gaming PC, and then you'll have a library of hundreds of games for you to be able to download and play day one. Again, this isn't an ad, this isn't sponsored, this is just us telling you that free games are out there. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for today, as well as for the week. That has been 5 episodes of The Scoop for you each and every single weekday. Today's obviously before 10 o'clock, but they have been around the morning period, shall we say, which is very broad, which is usually the time when we say that we're going to go live. But anyway, you get the drift. This is like episode 450 or whatever. You know the drift. You know the gist by now. But that is it. Again, thank you very much to each and every single one of you that have joined us for the episodes this week. We will be back with the scoop on Monday. So if you want to help shape that show, there is 2 ways that you can do that. First of all, find us on social media. It is at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or get involved with our Discord. Or if you are watching this on any of our on-demand services, then go into the description below. All the links that you will be that you need or you require will be listed down there for you. All we need from you is the URL plus your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which I mentioned before is going to be on Monday. I don't know if there's going to be any streams today. There won't be any this afternoon from me. I said I'm going to be out. Graham is on his way back from London, so I can't see him jumping online. But as always, if you do, who knows? Things may change, but there's only one way to find out, and that's obviously by following this channel if you don't already, and following us on our social media platforms. I forgot what words were then. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to be able to bring you these shows this week. I appreciate all the feedback that you guys give us. I appreciate all the donos. We ended up having we ended up getting £20 in donos, as well as 10 people subscribing within a 24-hour period. You guys are fucking legends. We very much appreciate it. I said all the money that we end up getting goes back into our loot drop stuff, and whether or not it's going to be new lights and mics and all that other shit that goes on, we never take anything into our own pocket. It is always upgradable stuff for our studio, our home studios, and for you guys as well. So we appreciate every single penny that you end up giving us. Again, always appreciated, never required. But guys, I appreciate all the time that you spent with us today. I know I'm blabbering on here. So I'll leave you with 2 things. As always, I want you to look after yourselves. And second of all, you guys know the drift by now. You gotta stay frosty.